Plaintiff David Hunter allowed the defendant to move into his home, and in lieu of paying rent, the defendant agreed to do remodeling projects around the house. However, the defendant failed to complete the work, so David's suing for living expenses. Defendant Travis Farmer says David often traveled to third world countries to find people who didn't speak English so he could treat them like his personal slaves. Travis insists David couldn't even decide what repairs he wanted, and he's countersuing for wages and property payments.
Let's hear from you.
Last fall, I'm looking to get my roof done. Craigslist, ran into Travis Farmer. The background is I travel a lot for work. I've owned this house for about 3 years, and I've maybe slept in there for 2 months.
Okay.
Get to know Travis over last fall. Basically, it started out as a friend helping a friend. Tell you what, you can have a place to hang your hat. I got some stuff to do around the house. And I had a list of stuff. Actually, he had started a job for me repairing the soffits.
What was the agreement regarding him living there in exchange for work? What was the agreement? Was there a specific agreement?
No, I don't think we ever wrote anything down. It's just talking.
Okay. Just every night you just come up with whatever you off the top of your head.
The tasks that I had were get the soffits done.
That's what I want to hear.
Finish
the
the
list
bathroom.
of things. What is it?
Get the soffits done. If you
I don't even know what that is.
well, imagine you're
That's
standing.
about as much as I know about fixing a house. A soffit?
Yep.
You know what that is?
Yeah, roof comes down.
How you know? You don't know nothing about
I know.
soffit. Get the soffits done. That has something to do with the roof.
Yeah.
All right, you know a little something. Soffit.
Imagine you're standing with your back up against the wall of your house, and you look up. That's your soffit.
That's the ceiling. Go ahead, sir. Let's move on. Let's move on. And you're supposed to do the soffits.
Yep.
And then what else, sir?
Soffits, finish the bathroom, and cracks in the bedroom wall.
All right.
Plaintiff David Hunter is suing his former tenant, who claims David often traveled to third world countries to find people who didn't speak English to act as his personal slaves.
Let me allow him to tell me what he believes was the agreement.
The agreement was Dave was looking for a maintenance guy pretty much because he is gone all the time, whether it be for work or traveling to a third world country to find his next victim. But
victim for what? What does he do?
If you got to know Dave, it's I don't think it's intentional. It's just his personality. He's got to have people around him that he seeks out people from like third world countries that basically don't speak English and shut the heck up and do what I tell you to. Lay in the bed, cook me food, whatever. I actually felt like a slave.
1 second. What do you do?
I'm an
for
electrical engineer.
Okay, and why do you go to third world countries? To contract?
Out of the past 3 years, I've spent probably a good solid 2 of those in Monterrey, Mexico. I've met some people there, and I guess what he's referring to is I've gone on vacation. These are friends that I've known in Mexico that I'm going back to see. I'm going down there on vacation. I went.
Gotcha. You're saying these
basically what it
friends
boils
work
down
for
to.
free. All right. Now
He wanted
I
a
guess
slave.
You're saying you work for free too.
That's the problem. We could not. He would every time he come home, it would be a different job he had planned for me. It went from windows and siding to doing drain tile around the exterior perimeter of the basement.
1 second. Sir, did you ever request that he do windows and tile?
No, there was discussion about that being potential work, but
was anything wrong with the drain and the windows that you were discussing that he potentially might have to do?
yes.
All right, sir. I would assume that he wanted me to do it too, because that's the reason you said you had him there, is for the upkeep of the house. So if you pointed things out and said, something's wrong with the drain, something's wrong with the window, I would expect that that's what he wanted me to fix. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. And then he would switch it up every time he come back. It was a new idea.
Just switched on me. Go ahead.
Exactly. And then every time it's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I don't know who's going to show up or what job he's going to want done. And he's too cheap to spend any money on his house unless it's, unless he's traveling off to find some internet prostitute. He don't want to spend no money.
You make the man look so bad. One, he goes to Mexico to get slaves. Now he goes on the internet to get prostitutes. All right. Go ahead, sir. Why are you suing him for living expenses? What happened?
Because nothing got done. I guess I would like to finish one job and then do the other. Nothing done.
How long
Out of
was
the
he there?
tasks, pardon me?
How long was he there?
His stuff is still there since January 1st.
Not how long his things were there. How long was he coming in and out to live and stay
5.5
overnight?
months.
So you're saying for 5.5 months, this man did absolutely nothing in
He did
repair?
not. I would estimate maybe 20, 25 man hours worth of work.
Okay. Now, how many
None of the
times?
jobs
No,
were
sir.
no,
How many
excuse me.
times did you come in and out within 5.5 months?
And here's the other part.
How many
part of the
times
story.
did you
Well,
come in and out within 5 months? How many times per week would you come in? Let's go over that from January to May. Sir, you don't have to read that. You
I'm
can estimate.
counting.
No,
I'm
no,
counting.
That's not what I'm asking you. Something
times.
very specific.
5 times.
You can estimate how often you would come to your own home.
Once every 3 weeks, once a month, depending.
Okay, so you came home at least 5 or 6 times.
Yep.
All right. When you came home those 5 or 6 times, didn't you notice by the second time nothing had been done?
Exactly.
And what would you say to him, and what would he tell you?
Come on, man. You know, and it would turn into a bunch of yelling because.
Okay, good enough. Y'all are yell and fuss.
and
Now,
then
the
after
second time,
that-
the next time.
Actually, the second time for the month of February, he might have done something. The month of January, I walked back in the house.
Sir, what did he do in February? Because you just told me a minute ago he did nothing. What did he do
No,
in February?
I told you he did about 25 hours of labor. In
All right.
February,
Is that when he did the 20 hours in February?
Yes.
All right. What about March?
Nothing.
What did you say to him?
Same thing. I kept
You
saying,
all fussed?
I kept saying, go. You know, you can leave. I think this
And he
agreement
didn't
isn't
leave.
working out.
All right. What happened in April?
More of the same.
And he did absolutely nothing.
Next to nothing, yes.
What does next to nothing mean? Because
Very
you just
little.
told me
Here's-
the only work he did was in February. You said he did 20 or so hours. I said, what did he do in February? He did a little something. Now we're up to April and he's doing a little something again?
Yes.
Your Honor.
All right. And,
What did he do in April? What was the little something he did in April?
This may be part of it, and did some of the work on the soffits in April. No, I probably would say there was nothing done on the soffits in April. That all happened in May.
You're right.
How am I
Back
supposed to
and
get anything
forth.
done
Yeah, I
when
would
you can't
be
decide what I'm
confused,
supposed to?
Yeah, you're right. So how does he owe you for living expenses? That's what you're suing for.
A reasonable amount that would be paid for the housing he received was about $500.
All right, good
We
enough.
agreed on that.
$500 for 5.5 months, and then we're going to deduct some of the work he did on the soffit and whatever else you claim he did a little work on.
Plaintiff David Hunter is suing his former tenant, who claims David often traveled to third world countries to find people who didn't speak English to act as his personal slaves.
Why don't you think you should owe him? He said you did nothing.
I got a letter here from Dave saying that I owe him nothing. That I'm the
Sir, did you write him a letter saying he owed nothing?
I wrote an eviction notice at his request.
There are no obligations or commitments from me to you. There are also no obligation or commitments from you to me. This was May of 2011. What is your counterclaim for, sir?
He called Get It Now, where I was purchasing my 50-inch flat screen and my Blu-ray and my Xbox and all this. Get It Now is they give you a loan. They finance you to get the stuff.
Okay.
Okay,
Gotcha.
I was financing it. Well, he called up Get It Now and told him that I had legally been evicted and that he was throwing my property out in the street. So they had no choice, and I do have a statement from them here stating that he did so. He
threw your things out in the street.
No, he didn't throw them out in the street. He called the place and told them that he was going to throw them out in the street and they needed to come and get it. So therefore, my belongings were repossessed for no reason of my own.
All right. Sir, did you do this?
What happened was
This used to be funny, but now it's quite frustrating, particularly after I have received a letter telling him that he owes you nothing. What do you want to tell me about the rental television, sir? Did you call and
The
ask?
company, Get It Now, a representative from Get It Now, came to my door.
You didn't call
on
them?
Thursday.
Did you call them?
The first time,
Did
no.
you ever
I called
call?
them.
Ever?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Judgment for the counterclaimant. Your claim is dismissed. He has submitted a letter written by you where you told him he owes nothing. You don't want all your money. I've just given it to you. You want to raise your hand and say, what now? Frustrate me some more?
No, sir. No, sir.
Please take this judgment and run with it, sir. Everything you want, I'm giving it to you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Have a good day. Lord have mercy.